morning fellas, welcome back to another Villa on Tour video. It's been a while. Last video was the Germany trip. If you haven't watched any of the videos from the Germany trip, especially the match day video against Leipzig, I thoroughly suggest going to watch them. They were absolutely incredible. Like the Leipzig trip as a whole was unbelievable. The match day was unbelievable. We won 3-1. Go and check that video out after you've watched this one. If you do want to enjoy this video, please do leave a like and subscribe if you are new, because we are within touching distance of the opening game against Tottenham and I am beyond excited. 2 days away as I'm recording this. It's so exciting. So the transfer window slams shut today. It's transfer deadline day. So what I thought I'd do, go through the whole of Villa's transfer dealings in the whole of summer 2019. Just kind of sum up my thoughts on all the players. I'm not going to go through each individual player because that would probably take me like a couple of hours. So I'll just go through each position, goalkeeper, defence, midfield, striker, whatever, and just explain my thoughts, how I'm thinking, could we have done better, and also a lot of your comments on Twitter as well. I did put out a tweet asking for your guys' opinions on the summer transfer window. So we'll go through some of them, go through my thoughts. Let's get into it. Just before we do start as well, you may be able to see that I'm wearing the new away shirt. It's very nice. I do suggest if you are going to buy one, you go a little bit bigger in size, because this is a medium and I usually have a little bit of breathing room in a medium, even though I am 6'2", but I'm built like a twig. So if you are going to get the away shirt, I suggest going a size bigger. It's not quite Luke, is it? And as we're on the subject of Luke, if you do want to go and pick up a little bit of Luke gear off the website, use the code MAX20 for 20% off. Loads of good stuff on there at the moment. Go and check out Luke, link in the description. Anyway, without further ado, let's go on to the main bit of the video. Now, you may have seen at the start of this video, doing a Fulham way, just shut up. It's getting so boring now, and I can't wait to just shut people up now. We probably will do Fulham and this will go like viral on Twitter and stuff, but I don't care. Like, we let 11 or 12 players go. These are all the players that we let go in the summer, right? Twanzebe, El Ghazi, Tammy Abraham, House, Mings, Bunn, Hutton, Elphick, Whelan, Jedinak, Adoma and Chester to an extent because of his injury. How can you tell me we're doing a Fulham when all those players left us in after the playoff final? We need to replace them. You can't just... It's not every summer that every club loses 11, 12 players. And I don't think people are taking that into account when they're reacting to our transfer dealings. Now, we needed to replace pretty much every single one of them with quality players, not just replace them with whoever you can. We needed to do our research and replace them with quality players, and I think we have. Now I'm going to go through each area, like I said, so I'm going to start with goalkeeper now. It was a little bit topsy-turvy over the summer. Jack Butland, was he coming in? It looked like it was happening, but he just didn't in the end. I think the fee was the issue. And I think it was only last week we got Tom Heaton in for around £8.5 million. Now I'm going to go on a limb here and say he's going to be within our top 2 or 3 best signings of the summer. I was happy when it signed, but watching that Leipzig game, you can just see the guy's absolutely quality. And I think the low fee is due to his age, and he's 33, but I think that's prime for a goalkeeper. He's still got 3, 4, 5 years in him, and he's an England international. He's been Burnley's captain for 5 years. And I think he's a very, very, very good signing. I think he may go under the radar. You can see even Burnley fans on Twitter, they are not happy that they've let him go. I think he could be one of the signings of the summer for sure. Now I do feel for Steer a little bit. I know I'd say he's like a 7 out of 10 goalkeeper, but I think going into the Premier League season we needed an 8, and I think Heaton is an 8, maybe even a 9. I do feel sorry for Steer, but when someone like Tom Heaton becomes available for that sort of fee, I'd say it's a no-brainer. Now, don't get me wrong, I think competition is absolutely massive. I think Heaton is going to be able to teach Steer a lot. I know he's like, what, 7 years older than Steer, so Steer's got a lot of learning to do, potentially, from Heaton. I think Steer is going to push Heaton as well. They can push each other, it's going to be fine. Don't get me wrong, Steer will play in all the cup competitions 100%, but yeah, like I said, I think it's a really, really good signing for a really, really good fee. I think it was a no-brainer. Good, top quality signing. Now, in terms of the defence, we were left so light when Bruce left us. And without January, we would have been absolutely ruined. We brought in House and Mings in January. And I think after the playoff final, we signed 4 defenders, 4 centre-backs actually. And we needed to, because Twanzebe went, he was absolutely massive. I wouldn't have taken Twanzebe back if it was only on loan. If it was permanent, we could get him for a good fee, then yeah, I would have taken him back because he's quality and he's going to go on to have a really good career. But if it was just for a loan, I don't think we're going to be acting like that anymore. I think the signing and wrapping up Tyrone Mings is absolutely huge. I think people outside the Villa bubble are moaning about the fee, 21 million rising to 26, whatever it is. You see the fees going around now. Maguire went the other day for 85 million. Bournemouth have slapped a £75 million price tag on Nathan Ake. Webster went from Bristol City to Brighton for £20 million. No one's saying too much about that. Like, you have to pay these sorts of fees now. The fees, don't get me wrong, are ridiculous, but Mings was a no-brainer for 25, 26 million, whatever it was. No-brainer, get him in, 100%. Now, for me, I think Mings is a guaranteed starter in the Premier League, but the thing is, who's going to play alongside him? We signed Engels for around £7-8 million. I think, for me, he's the front runner at the moment to be alongside Mings when we walk out at Tottenham on Saturday. But I think Concert is a lot younger. He's got a lot more room in him. He signed for a decent fee. He was more expensive than Engels. Even Courtney Hawes is there. He played with Mings last season. He's got that connection there already. Chester, I think he's injured for the Tottenham game, so I don't think he's got a look in. But for me, I think it's Engels. I do leave in the comments who you would partner with Mings, but I think the front runner for me is Bjorn Engels. I think he's a good signing. He's very big. He's got a good presence about him, but he's also quite good with the ball at his feet, which is promising. He works into the Smith system. He's young as well. Good signing. Touched on Concert as well. It's always going to happen. He worked with Dean Smith before. Courtney Hawes, a very good fee, £3 million. Getting him back again was 100%. We had to do it. He can also act as like a sort of centre back and left back cover, so that sort of flexibility is really good for the back line. Now we signed a full back both sides as well. Matty Targett from Southampton on the left hand side. I think he's just a fairly sensible signing. He's an upgrade on Taylor. He's so much better going forward than Taylor, and I think Taylor's going to be a good backup, don't get me wrong, but I think Targett's just that little bit better. He's a little bit more technically gifted. He's better with the ball at his feet. Gilbert as well. When we signed him back in January. We sent him back on loan to France. I think Elmo wasn't having the best time in January, but since then Elmo's done really well. He's looked much better. And Gilbert's had a really good pre-season, or Gilbert, I've forgotten how you say it right, but Gilbert's had a good pre-season. He's very technically gifted. He loves these flicks and tricks. He loves going forward, can whip in a mean cross. And I think him and Elmo are really going to push each other, which is good for competition. It's going to raise players' performances. So I think it was a no-brainer getting Gilbert in. And I can't believe, right, we signed him in January. Can you, like, at that point in January, it was looking like we weren't going to get promoted. Can you imagine Gilbert in the, Championship? He'd run rings on everyone. He looks very bright at the moment. So I think defensively, we've done very good business. I'll probably give it a 10 out of 10. We sorted the centre-back situation out. We sorted both the full-back situations out very quickly as well. So I think, no-brainer, very good recruitment in the defensive region. Now onto the midfield. We signed two midfielders actually. The first one was Douglas Luiz. Now this one was in the pipeline for quite a while. It was announced eventually a couple of weeks ago, but there was something to do with his work permit, his passport, or something along those lines. So he was in Brazil for like the next week, working with his personal trainer. It was all over Twitter, Instagram. And Villa fans were getting a little bit frustrated for why he wasn't joining up with the squad. But it was a couple of days ago, or yesterday, he joined up with the squad. He was pictured at Bodymore Heath with Dean Smith, and this lad's got a lot of promise. Now, Guardiola wanted him to play for Man City last season, but there was an issue with the work permit. He went out to Girona, didn't play all that too much for Girona, and I think Girona got relegated, which isn't ideal, but he didn't play too much for them. But if you're wanted by Guardiola at Man City, you must have something about you. He's the captain of the Brazil under-20s, I believe. He's still only 21 himself, so he's got so much potential. Signed him for £15 million. I think there may be a buyback clause there, but for me, I'm not that bothered. Like, if Man City want to buy him back in 2-3 years for double, triple the price, that's fine with me, because we've earned a fat profit on him, and that'll mean he's done well for Villa. So it's sort of a win-win for everyone there, and we can reinvest that money into someone else. Like, I'm really not too bothered about the buyback clause, but I think it's a really good signing. Don't think he'll start against Tottenham. He only joined up with the squad a couple of days ago, so he might have a little bit more room to settle in, which brings me on to Nakamba, who has been training with the squad a little bit longer. We signed him last week. Defensive midfielder as well as Douglas Luiz, so there's going to be good competition there. They're going to push each other. But Marvelous Nakamba is a defensive midfielder who is very good with the ball at his feet as well, which again suits the Smith system. Now, I keep on saying it suits the Smith system, and it does. It just emphasises the fact that we've done our research, we've got a clear strategy, and this is why we're not doing a Fulham. Like, Fulham just brought in about 8 players on deadline day. They weren't thinking about strategy. They weren't thinking about whether it fit into the manager's system. They were just looking who's available, who's got a good reputation, get him in. That's not what we were doing. Like, all these players, they can work with Dean Smith. They've got connections amongst them. They've played with each other before. They've played with Smith before. They've played at Villa before, like the loan players. And that's why I think we've done very good business. In terms of the midfield, Marvelous and Douglas Luiz, who's going to start the majority of the season out of them two? I couldn't tell you. I think it's just going to go on performances. You're going to see a lot of rotation because we have got a good squad. But I think this isn't the end of Conor Hourihane or Hourihane or however. Now Hourihane can be a backup to McGinn and Grealish because he's so good going forward, but he can play that anchorman role if Marvellous was to go out, Douglas Luiz was to go out. Now we are going to see our fair share of Hourihane this season, but yeah, it's good. But for me, the best midfield signing isn't a new recruit. It's Super John McGinn, the best deadline day signing we could have ever dreamt of. Signed a new 5-year deal with the club this morning.
Marvellous.
Buzzing. He joined, I think it was this day last year actually. He signed a 4-year deal and he's still got 3 years left. And the fact he signed a 5-year one when he's still got 3 years left just emphasises the fact that he's so highly valued by Villa. And all this Man United crap that was going around in the summer, reported by The Sun, don't ever buy The Sun, about him going to Man United for £50 million and the fact that Alex Ferguson wanted to buy him. All a load of rubbish. You may have seen me and Ginger Jamie were in Dusseldorf for the Germany trip, and we were actually we met McGinn's cousins out and about, and they were right laughs. They loved it. They said he wasn't going to Man United. Signed a new 5-year contract, and that's going to put his valuation through the roof. And love it. I think Grealish has got 4 years left. McGinn 5 years left. The bromance is there. Can't wait to see it in the Premier League. So yeah, to sum up the midfield recruitment, I'd definitely give it a 10 out of 10. It has to be. We're going to come on to the wingers now. Now the first one that we signed was Anwar El Ghazi. He was man of the match at Wembley, 100%, even if I didn't see his goal. But towards the end of last season, he was just one of the best players in the squad. He scored 6 goals, got 6 assists last season. And I think even under Bruce, he wasn't amazing, but under Smith, towards the end of the season, he really did thrive, and I think he can only get better now. The only way is up for El Ghazi, and I think, is he a guaranteed starter? For me, yes, he probably is. He's still very young, he's got a lot of promise, he's very skillful, he's very physically threatening. Like, he's a big lad, but he's also very quick and technically gifted, and I think he's probably a starter on the wing, on the left-hand side. Now, he picked up a knock against Leipzig, but I think he'll be okay for Tottenham, I've heard, so looking forward to that. I think it's for a low fee, it's a really, really good signing. The next one is Hotter. What a signing. Like, when it happened, I think it was the first transfer we made after the playoff final. I think it was only like a week after. I saw that we'd let Gary Gardner go and we'd brought Hotter in. I'm not going to lie, I wasn't overly buzzing about the whole situation. I was buzzing to see that sack of Gary Gardner go the other way, but I wasn't overly buzzing to see Hodge come in, and I think that was a little bit naive because he wasn't used in the right system at Blues. 100% he wasn't used in the right way. He had the wrong players around him, they played the wrong formation. I think they were playing in a 4-4-2, so he wasn't allowed to bomb on a little bit more. He had to have a little bit more responsibility coming back, so I think in this system under Smith, it was always going to work. I think in pre-season he's been one of our best players, 100%. He scored a couple of goals against Walsall. That was very, very impressive. And I think it's very, very exciting. I think when he signed, I was in the video I did about him, I was like, he's going to be a bench player. He might come on in the last 10 minutes. No. I think he's going to be starting at Tottenham. I think he's going to be on that other side to El Ghazi. I think he's going to be pushing Trezeguet to be starting, and I think he will start. And I'm buzzing to see what he can do in the Premier League. And I think he's one of these players who can suit the Premier League a little bit more than the Championship, the rough and tumble of the Championship, playing in a dirty Blues side. Now he's in a more technically gifted Villa side, a Villa side that like to play with the ball a little bit more. And I think he will suit this Villa side a lot more under Smith with the players around him. Grealish, he links up with Grealish very well, and there's a little bromance going there. So I think it was a no-brainer. £2 million, whatever it was. Unbelievable business. And I think that's what the people who are saying Villa are doing at Fulham. They're looking over these sorts of deals, the cheap deals we've done for Hotter, Courtney Hawes, Anwar El Ghazi, these really cheap deals that will prove to be really, really good. I think what's quite good with Hotter as well is they can play within the central attacking midfield as well. Now, if Grealish was to get injured, there's only really sort of Hourihane who can fill in there, and I think Hotter could do a job there as well, and you could push Trezeguet out on the wing if he's on the bench. So I think that's good as well. And we touched on him then, Trezeguet, really good signing. This lad's really exciting. His stats from last season are absolutely incredible. Now, I know he played in Turkey, which isn't the best standard of football, but he's very exciting. His dribbling's very good. He's got unbelievable dribbling stats, and that ball he played for McGinn for the third goal, I think it was, against Leipzig, was a really, really good pass. So he's got passing about him, he's got a good shot on him. His dribbling is probably his best asset, and I think he's going to start. Maybe not with Hotter and El Ghazi. It's tough to get in there, but again, that's just going to raise their standards, and I think He's one of the most exciting signings we've had. No one knows too much about him. No one, let's be honest, has really heard of him. So I think it's a good signing. Looking forward to see what he can do. He's got the connection there with Elmo, so he can sort of bed him into the squad. So yeah, I think that's a really good signing. And on the wings, there was talk of Ben Rama on deadline day, but it just didn't happen. I think the fee was a bit excessive. But Brentford wanted like 20-25 million, which was a bit steep. Would I have liked to see Ben Rama come in to have 2 decent wings on both sides? Yes, I probably would, but I'm not complaining at all. I'm not moaning. I think we've done well. In terms of the wingers, I'll give it a 9 out of 10. Now at striker, the only one we brought in was Big Wes. Now, it's a really, really good signing. I don't think he's one of these players, right, who's going to score 20-25 goals like Tammy Abraham did last season. I think he's one of these players who's going to come deep, bring other players into the game, get those wingers bombing on, and getting the wingers more goals now. Do you remember, some of you may remember, you know, Keenan Davis, I think it wasn't his debut, I think it was a couple of years ago when he played Norwich at home, we won 4-2, and Horahan scored that hat-trick. I think he's going to play that sort of Davis role. He's going to hold up the ball, he's going to be that massive presence up front. And Davis wasn't the goal scorer in that game, but he was phenomenal. He's going to be that coming deep sort of striker, bringing other players like the wingers, like I just said, into the game. And I think it's a really good signing. Would I have liked to see another striker come in? Yes, I probably would, because Kodja behind him, he had a really good summer with Ivory Coast in the AFCON. Davis as well. I know Dean Smith put a block on Davis going out, so he must see something in those two. So I'm not overly devastated that we haven't brought another striker in. Would I have wanted one? Yeah, maybe, but I'm not devastated. I think Kodja can do a job. Davis can also do a job. I think Davis has come on leaps and bounds in the last couple of years. If he can get his goal scoring up a little bit, I think he's going to be very exciting, and I think he's ready for the Premier League, Davis in particular. Now, I've talked about the incomings. Now I'm going to talk about just a couple of outgoings. Scott Hogan has gone out to Stoke City. Scotty Hogan, man. When Dean Smith came in, I think there was a bit of optimism there. Could they realign the sort of fire that they got at Brentford? And it just hasn't happened. Like, the quality that he had in the squad, he was never going to play over Tammy Abraham last season. I think it was just a case of Steve Bruce signing him in the wrong system at the wrong time, in a time where we weren't playing particularly well. He had that good run in January, I remember, but he just hasn't really fitted. He's never had that goal scoring consistently that we needed. He didn't fit into the Steve Bruce system, which isn't his fault at all. It was Steve Bruce's fault for the way he played. He was never going to bring down the ball when Steve Bruce's defenders were lumping it forward. That was never ever going to happen. Now, good luck to Scotty Hogan. He deserves to have a really good run at Stoke in the Championship, but unfortunately I do think Championship's his level. He's a nice guy and all that, but I just think he needs to get his head down, play his football at one place, get 40 plus games under his belt at Stoke, and all the best to him. Hopefully he scores 15-20 goals next season for them. The final outgoing was Andre Green. He went out on loan to Preston. I don't think it was to anyone's surprise really. I think it was best for both parties. Andre Green, he's got a lot of abuse this pre-season, unfortunately, and I think unfortunately this is make or break for Andre Green. That the way Villa are going, I think, are we leaving Andre Green behind a little bit? I'm not meaning to be harsh, but he just hasn't really cut it. I think he hasn't got the best touch in the world. His end product isn't fantastic. He's not consistent enough. But I think there is a little bit of spark there, and if he can reignite that at Preston, Preston's a good club. Look what they did to Callum Robinson. We shipped him off there when he wasn't doing particularly well, and now he's playing in the Premier League. So if Andre Green can do anything similar to that, I think that's really good. Don't get me wrong, he's still very young as well. He only turned 21 the other week, so he's still very young. He's still got a lot of years left in him. Hopefully he has a really good season for Preston. I know Preston fans are really excited to see what he can do, and so am I. I hope he has a stormer in the Championship, and best of luck to Hogan and Green in the Championship. Oh, I've just stopped recording, and it turns out that Villa have let Bjarnason go. They've terminated his contract. You could tell he wasn't happy, to be fair. He hasn't gone anywhere. That is a little bit weird, to be fair, but you could tell he wasn't happy. But yeah, back on with the video. Unlucky Berkey at Bjarnason. Best of luck for the future. So those are all of my thoughts on the summer transfer window, but don't turn off just yet. I've got some of your comments like I mentioned earlier. I put out a tweet earlier just asking people to leave their comments about the summer transfer window, so I'll read a couple out now. 9 out of 10, big statement of intent shown by the owners that they're here for the long run and put faith in the manager to conduct the business. All round success, replacing the majority of the 15 outgoings. However, one more striker would have made it a 10 out of 10 window. Yes, I touched on the striker. I think if we get the Kodja back that we did a couple of years ago when we first got relegated from the Premier League, when Kodja scored, I think it was 19 goals in the Championship. If we get that Kodja back, and if he doesn't get that ankle injury that's been niggling him in the last few years, I think we wouldn't need another striker, but it's just that risk of, is Wesley going to do the job? Is Wesley going to stay fit? Is Kodja going to do the job? And is Kodja going to stay fit? But we can only wait and see. Simon Lyons, top man from the Leipzig trip, he says, can't moan, replace the players at left and added to the quality of the squad. Could have done with that extra winger slash striker, but you never get the perfect squad. Reassess in January. Now, I think that's a good point. There's always time in January. We've always got money in January. If we do need to get this extra striker slash winger in, we can do it in January, and hopefully it isn't too late by then. But I don't think it will be. I think we'll be fine. I think this is quite a sensible comment as well. Putting it into context, compared to where we were 12 months ago, in this transfer window is the stuff of dreams. Big spending on some new talent, a couple of absolute bargains and contract extensions for those who did the business last season. An exciting season awaits. So I think that's a fairly sensible comment. Now, you've got to have the long-term mentality. This time last year, we couldn't even pay a £4 million tax bill. And now, for us, that'll be absolute pennies. I think we've come such a long way since this time last year. Or go and watch my videos from this time last year. It was so depressing. But yeah, it's a good comment. It's fairly sensible. 100% I'm happy with the transfer business, basing on how crap it was last season. I think this is quite a good one to end on as well, from KRO Villa. I'll tell you in May. Now, sorry if I didn't read your comment out. There was like over 100, so I'm sorry about that. I did read them all though. So yeah, thank you if you did leave a comment. Leave your comments on this YouTube video as well. Let me know about all the players I've talked about, all the transfer business, incomings, outgoings, that you want to talk about. Just let me know what you think about all of it in the comments below, and I'll read all of them. There will be another video out tomorrow, I believe, my Premier League predictions, which could be a controversial one, but keep an eye out for that. If you have enjoyed this video, please do leave a like. Subscribe if you are new. Keep an eye out for the Tottenham video in a couple of days, and up the Villa.